Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's DLloyd. So we are getting closer and closer to the NBA's trade deadline, and of course, a team that just about the entire league will be focusing on and watching what they're doing is the New Orleans Pelicans. And the reason why is because Anthony Davis and what they decide to do ultimately with their franchise player. Of course, Anthony Davis, he is still under contract next season, which means he is now scheduled to become a free agent until 2020, the summer of 2020. So theoretically, for the Pelicans, they don't have to trade him. They could keep Anthony Davis. He could play this season. He could play next season. They could offer him the Supermax, see if he signs the $240 million contract. If he doesn't, then try to trade him. But we all know if you wait a little too long in deciding whether or not you want to trade your star player, his value could go down, especially if he decides to actually reject that Supermax. Because if you reject that, that is basically indicating to the entire league that you will not be returning to that team. So that is something that the Pelicans definitely need to pay attention to. Now, we know Anthony Davis from his side, he will not be officially requesting a trade at least until the summer, if that is in fact the route he decides to take. He will not do it before the trade deadline this season, which is really good for the Pelicans. But you still have to consider what you're going to do before the deadline. Do you finally cave in and decide to trade away Anthony Davis and get the most back that you can this season? Or do you decide not to trade him, of course, hope maybe you could be aggressive in making a trade yourself and try to better your team and try to convince Anthony Davis to stay? Now, of course, that is the plan that the Pelicans are trying to stick with. They want to go out there, they want to be somewhat aggressive, and they want to bring back talent. When you look at the current roster, of course, the key guys you are not trading away, of course, Anthony Davis, if that's the route you want to take, Drew Holiday, Julius Randle. Both of them having fantastic seasons. Another guy who I would ideally like to keep is Nikola Mirotic. However, he is expendable because of two reasons. One, he is the guy who has pretty much the most value other than the guys I named before in Julius Randle and Drew Holiday. And two, he is a free agent at the end of the season. So you don't know 100% if he will be back at the end of the year or not anyway. You also have Elfrid Payton and you have draft picks. What we're hearing is that clearly their first round pick up for grabs. Anybody could try to get that pick for a player. We're also hearing Elfrid Payton up for grabs. Mirotic is also up for grabs for the right piece. Now, the issue is there's really not a ton of talent that could plug in right away and really make this team a lot better for what you currently have to offer. You don't have a ton. Yes, Mirotic is a good player. I like him. He is fitting in. He's having a really good season. 27 years old, averaging 16 points a game this season. A lot of teams could benefit from having a player like Mirotic on the team. But Elfrid Payton, he's not going to command a ton of stock, especially after an injured riddled season so far this year. I believe he missed 31 games this season with the injury. And then the games that he has played, he really hasn't looked that good at all. So he's not going to command a ton of value. So for the Pelicans, you have to make a decision. Now, ultimately, I think they hold on to him. I don't think they will trade Anthony Davis before the trade deadline. I think they will wait until this free agency in the summer begins. They're going to see what Boston does with Kyrie. If Kyrie decides to come back, once they sign him, of course, Boston now could go into trade talks and they could give up some assets to try to get a player like Anthony Davis in Boston. So that's what I think they're going to do. The rest of the league, they're, of course, pressuring the Pelicans not to cave in. They do not want Anthony Davis and LeBron James on the same team this season. So they're trying to make sure that, or at least the best that they can, trying to pressure the Pelicans into not making any trade at all. They don't want them caving into the players because that sets a precedent. But we've seen that now in the league the past couple of years. Once a player decides he wants to leave, he can essentially force his way out of there by telling everybody he's not going to re-sign. He will only re-sign with these teams. Then, of course, the value also goes down for that player. But you guys let me know as we get closer and closer to the NBA's trade deadline. What do you think the Pelicans are going to do with Anthony Davis? Do you think they're going to, look and possibly try to trade him And if so, the Lakers are going to be the front runners in that, at least right now. Boston not really looking to make a trade until the offseason. So do you think they will trade Anthony Davis before the season? Do you think they're going to be aggressive and trying to find a piece somewhere that can help them win? Or do you think they'll just kind of be quiet, keep what they have, and just hope Anthony Davis either decides he wants to come back and sign that Supermax deal, or maybe hope they could trade him to Boston? You guys let me know how you guys feel about that in the comment section below. It's your boy DLloyd. I'm going to see y'all next time. Peace.